Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is the class 10th of subject social studies. Okay, now we are going to see a new chapter, chapter 14, National Movement in India, Partition and Independence, 1939 to 1947. And this is the part 1 we are going to see as it is the biggest chapter. Okay, so let's get started. So, first, let us look at the final phase of national movement and try to understand the situations that led to the partition of India. So, what is the reason for the partition of India? Okay, let's see that final phase of national movement. The people of the country faced very difficult questions and had to accept very difficult answers in these years. Okay, there was a different questions raising and different answers were given for that questions. So it was happening like that. Should the war be supported by Indians? 1939 to 1942. That means the World War II, right? Should the war be supported by the Indians? So first of all, India is a not part of the world wars. Okay, it is a part of world wars because of one country, you can say, that is because of the Britain. Because of Britain, as the Britain colonized India, India used to depend on the Britain for their even though the Britain used to ask the Indians their wish to participate or not, but as they colonized India, they also have some power, right? So they were thinking, should the war be supported by the Indians or not? We have read about the Second World War. Yeah, we have read in the World Wars in the history part. The first chapter we have learned about World War One and World War Two. When the war started in 1939, most of the provinces of India were governed by Congress ministers. So when the war started in 1939, many of the provinces, you can understand in ninth you have learned what are the provinces and the British India. There were two types of things when the British was ruling Indians. So let's discuss all about them now. Were governed by Congress ministers. So at that time, Congress party is the most you can say leading party, right? It was the leading party, the Congress party. So the British government had agreed to give the Indians the right to rule themselves to some extent. So the British government gave some extent to rule the India their own self. Okay, right to rule themselves. Okay, the British Parliament passed the Government of India Act in 1935. It has passed an act. British Parliament passed an act on the government of India in 1935. Okay, according to this, provinces could hold elections and winning parties could form governments. According to the act given by the British Parliament, they can hold elections and they can vote also. For some people there was voting, and who will win the most votes, they will be the one, and they can form the government and they can rule. Okay, however, the right to vote was given to a small section of the population, only about 12% of provincial assemblies and about 1% of the central assembly. So you can, I have told you, they gave the chance to vote, but for not for all the people, only for the few of the people. They were the peasants, you can say, big landlords, you can say. So there were few of them, not the normal people, not the common people. Okay, they didn't give the right to vote for the common people, and they gave only 12% of the provincial assemblies right to vote and 1% for the central assembly. Okay, this is the introduction part. Okay, so now you can see the map of India here, but not now. It is before the pre-partition of the map of India, that is before 1947, before the independence we got. So when elections were held in the assemblies of 11 provinces of British India in 1937, Congress won in most provinces. So when British colonized India, it was divided into two, that is the British India and the provinces, you can say. Okay, there were 11 provinces mostly. Provinces means you can think that our Indians can rule, but they will be under the control of the British, and the British India, you can directly the British Indians will rule. Okay, British people will rule them. Okay, and then elections were held and the Congress won most of the provinces. I have told you 11 provinces are there among these 11, 8 provinces was won. So you can see the next point here. 8 out of 11 provinces had a Congress prime minister working under the supervision of British governor. So out of 11, 8 provinces was won. So therefore the Congress formed the government and it had the right to rule over the India. Okay, so you can see the provinces there. Okay, yellow are the princely states. We have learned that princely states. Okay, provinces, or you can think princely states both. So pink color are shown with they are the princely states. Even Hyderabad is a princely state, and some of the things, Jammu and Kashmir, Rajasthan, Balochistan, you can see some of them. So they are all the princely states. Okay. So next, the World War was going on. So the World War was going on. Congress leaders were now facing a difficult situation. Should they help the British in fighting the war against Germany, Japan, Italy, and other Axis forces? So the Congress leaders, the Congress won the elections, right? So they formed the government. Now for the Congress it is a difficult situation, because should they help British in fighting the war against, so should they help the British or another side of the war? Okay, they had that doubt always. So they were in a difficult situation, so which to choose? They had to join. So Britain had decided that India will participate in the war without even asking them. So Britain itself, they decided that India will participate in the war, at least without asking these Congress leaders, which are belonging to the Indian leaders, you can say. Okay, there were reasons both for and against supporting the war. So Indians, they didn't even ask the Indians. Okay, the Congress was divided on this issue. So the Congress was divided in this issue. So some of them want to join the British, and some of them don't want to join the British. So they divided on this issue. Most Congress leaders were opposed to Hitler, Mussolini, and the idea of fascism. Okay, so they don't want to join the other party. Germany, Japan, Italy, and other Axis forces, they don't want to join because of the behavior of the Hitler. And the other people, they wanted to fight against the fascist drive to conquer other Soviet nations. That means they don't want to support the Britain, because they are not letting us the independence. So few people are thinking in that way, and few people are thinking in different way. So there was some zigzag happening there. Okay. So now the Congress expected that the British would see their double standards, in the expectation that India should support them in fighting the fascists, but not giving India full freedom. So the Congress has won, right? At that time, the British were thinking the India should join them, but India, there were double stands in the expectation that India should support them in fighting the fascists, but not giving the India full freedom. They thought their intention is not to give the India the full freedom. Okay, the British realized this, but at the same time, it was hard for them to accept that they will really have to dismantle the empire that they have built. There were different political parties in Britain. Okay, at the time of the war, Britain had an all party government headed by Prime Minister Winston Churchill of the Conservative Party. So at the time of the war, the Britain all party government headed, all party, that means it doesn't belong to one party, we can say it belongs to all the parties, and it was headed by the Prime Minister. Who was the Prime Minister at that time? Britain, Winston Churchill. He was the prime minister, or belongs to the Conservative Party. Okay, the conservatives wanted to maintain the empire for as long as possible. Okay, in comparison to the conservatives, the Labour Party was more willing to help Indians to get their freedom. So there were two parties, Conservative Party and the Labour Party. So if the Conservative Party is not that much interested, these two parties belongs to the Britain. Okay, the Conservative Party is not that much interested to give independence to the, that means the freedom to the India, but whereas the Labour Party, it is interested to give the freedom to the India if it formed the government. That means if it is elected. Okay, like that some things are going on. So the British were willing to give the status of dominance to India under the British crown soon after the war. So the British were willing to give the state of dominance to India under the British crown soon after the war. Soon after the war, it was thinking. But the Congress wanted a promise of complete freedom of India. But the Congress, it want a before the war, it wants to be clear with it. It want a promise of complete freedom of India for the India. The Congress also demanded that an immediate national government should be set up at the center. Okay, the Congress also demanded that an immediate national government should be set up. Okay, the British objected to this by saying that they have to also protect the interests of several other communities in India. They meant that Congress did not represent all Indians like Muslims. So when the Congress demanded in that way want to form the national government, the British also said that it is the Congress is not only all, it doesn't represent all the people in the country. Let's say Muslims. Okay, Congress doesn't represent Muslims in the country of India, so it represents only few of the people, and other few they were questioning in that way. Okay, they also implied that Congress may be ignoring the interest of many Indians, so it is not following in the interest of the Indians. It also thought that British, so the British were required to protect their interests. So in this way, all the things were going on. Okay, so now letter to Adolf Hitler. It was to Adolf Hitler. Then who wrote the letter? It was from Gandhiji. Okay, it was from Gandhiji of India to Hitler, Adolf Hitler of Germany. So Gandhiji wrote a letter to Adolf Hitler. So what is that letter and why did he write that letter? Okay, let's see what happened. Herr Hitler, Berlin, Germany. Dear friend, friends have been urging me to write to you for the sake of humanity. So in this sentence, you can understand that the Indians or other people were were saying to Gandhiji that you are a peaceful man, and if you say some words to the Adolf Hitler, who is behaving in a cruelty manner, he may change. We may find some differences in him. So because with that intention they were saying, and with that intention Gandhiji wrote a letter to Adolf Hitler. Okay, but I have resisted their request because of the feeling that any letter from me would be an impertinence. Something tells me that I must not calculate, and that I must make my appeal for whatever it may be worth. It is quite clear that you are today the one person in the world who can prevent a war which may reduce humanity to the savage state. So Gandhiji clearly said there that if the Hitler says the war should not be should not happen, you can say should not happen, at that time the world war stops, because it all depends on that country, the particular country that he is belonging to. Okay, it is all in his hands. He can protect them. Okay, that the in that way Gandhiji tried to convince him. Must you pay that price for an object, however worthy it may appear to you to be? Will you listen to the appeal of one has deliberately shunned the method of war, not without considerable success? Anyway, I anticipate your forgiveness if I have erred in writing you. So, in this way, Gandhiji wrote a letter to the Adolf Hitler and trying to convincing him. Okay, but whereas the Adolf Hitler, he did not even care about that. Okay. So now the next slide, when you observe here, the government had got special wartime powers to maintain law and order to be able to focus on winning the war. So the government, it had a special wartime powers to maintain law and order. So it is the government who can protect that law and order along with judiciary, okay, to be able to focus on winning the war. Anyone who opposed the government would be jailed immediately and kept in prison for a long time without going to court. People were not giving the freedom of speech. So what happened actually is, if any person opposed the government, he or she could be put in the jail without bringing him or her to the court. Okay, and that is not for the short time, it is for the long time. They put him or her in jail. Okay, and they were not giving the freedom of speech for them. Through 1940 and 1941, the Congress organized a series of individual satyagrahas to pressurize the British to promise freedom once the war had ended. But the British didn't change at all. Okay, no major mass protest was launched at this time. The Congress was upset that the British refused to promise freedom to India and decided to walk out of the provincial governments. So the Congress was very upset because the British refused to give independence to India. Okay, and it decided to walk out of the provincial governments even. Right, all the Congress ministers who had come to power in 1937 resigned in October 1939. All the Congress ministers who were joined the party, they resigned. Okay, so this is the matter in the slide. So now, who represents the people of the country? Now, the Congress party means, you can understand that the British said that it doesn't represent the people in the country like Muslims. Of course, it represents the people in the country, but not all. Okay, so now who represent the people of the country? Now that the Indian people were revolting against the British rule, they were upset. They're looking for ways to punish the Congress and make it weak and unpopular among the people. So they even tried to punish the Congress. The British started questioning the right of the Congress to represent the people of the country. Now they followed the divide and rule policy more vigorously. So what is this divide and rule policy? So let's see. To achieve this, the British government supported and encouraged the plans of Muslim League and gave little importance to the Congress. So the British first onwards only, it doesn't support the Congress because it is not representing the total country. The main point is that, especially the Muslims. Okay, so they people were also thought it was real, and they were not believing in Congress. Okay, you can say they were not believing in Congress. So they tried different ways, and even the British also supported the Muslim League, which was started also, and then now they were giving very little importance to the Congress. In this period, the Muslim League and its leaders like A.A. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, MA means, you can understand, Muhammad Ali Jinnah became more active in mass politics. So the Muslim League was formed, and its leader of the Muslim League is Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was more active in mass politics. Okay, so now the Muslim League. Muslim League was formed in 1906. It was formed in 1906. Till the 1930s, it mainly represented the interests of Muslims, landlords of UP, that is Uttar Pradesh, and did not have much mass support. So till 1930, it was mainly representing the interests of the Muslims. of especially the UP people, and it didn't have that much mass support. It had demanded that British could create separate seats in all councils for which only Muslims could vote. So they were demanding, right? They started demanding the first day all the voting. The first one is voting. It had argued that since the majority people in many areas were Hindus, there were more chances of Hindus getting elected to councils. So as more number of people are there in India, that is a Hindus, they were getting more chances for elections, and more members are becoming the councillors. But whereas Muslims demanded that it should not happen, and for Muslim it had to be a separate one, so that Muslims councils also will be there. Okay, at that time, if this happened, Muslims would not be able to protect their interest in the government. But if a certain number of seats were reserved for Muslims, for which only the Muslims population of an area would vote, these Muslim members would be able to raise the concerns and problems of Muslims. So at that time the British thought, and instead creating a separate one for the Muslims, it gave a chance, it reserved seats for the Muslim people. At that time, those seats will be reserved for the Muslims who will be elected in the Muslims party. At that time, it will be very nice. At that time, the British thought, okay, and the problems of the Muslims will be concerned. Okay, now let's go into the other slide. So now the Congress had accepted this logic, and separate electorates were implemented from 1909. So from 1909 the Congress said okay done, and then the separate rates were implemented for the Muslims, especially for the Muslims. When provincial governments were elected in 1937, the League won one or two of the 482 Muslim seats in the country. So the Muslim League won one or two out of the 482 Muslim seats in the country. However, the Congress also fought elections on Muslim seats because it believed that it was a national party and not a party of only Hindus. So even the Congress also began supporting the Muslims, because Congress is not a party of the Hindus, right? It represents the total country. That means even the Muslims also. Okay, the Congress won 26 out of 58 Muslim seats it had contested. Okay. So, in 1937, the Muslim League got only 4.4% of the total Muslim votes in the elections. So, it got only 4.4 in the elections in 1937. The Muslim League was popular in the United Provinces, Bombay and Madras. So, it was very popular in the United Provinces like Bombay and Madras. However, it was quite weak in the three provinces from which Pakistan was to be made just 10 years later, that is Bengal, the northwest frontier province now in Pakistan, and Punjab. In these three regions, the Muslim League was very weak. Okay, the Muslim League was very weak. Even in Sindh, it failed to form a government. It was very popular in Bombay and Madras. It was very weak in Bengal, northwest frontier province, which is in Pakistan now, and Punjab. And even in Sindh, it failed to form a government. But the situation changed in the next 10 years. So after the 10 years, the situation totally changed. In 1946, when elections were held again for the provincial and central assemblies, the League succeeded in winning the Muslim seats. So it was succeeded after 10 years, it succeeded in winning the Muslim seats. Okay, the League Muslim seats. Okay, so let's say the last slide of this Muslim League now. So now the League pointed out many issues. So even after it has won, it has succeeded, it pointed out many issues. It blamed the Congress for insensitive to the needs of the Muslims. So it blamed the Congress for insensitive needs of Muslims. For example, the Congress refused to form a coalition government with the Muslim League in the United Provinces, where it too had won many seats. So, for example, even when you see there, the Congress refused to form a coalition Okay, it refused to form a coalition government with the Muslim League. In the United Provinces, where it too had won many seats, the Congress had banned its members from taking membership of the Muslim League. So even the Congress got angrier and it banned its members from taking the membership of the Muslim League. Congress members could be members of the Hindu Mahasabha before. So before this, they can be the members of the Hindu Mahasabha, but now it said that it have to not be the members of the Muslim League. But this was also blamed from 1938 only after objectives from Muslim congressmen like Maulana Azad. Because of the Maulana Azad, they also banned from 1938. Okay, thus the league created the impression that Congress was basically a Hindu party and did not want to share power with the Muslims. So because of this league coming and because of its success, there was the thought that this Congress party is the party of Hindus only, which belongs to Hindus only, but not for the Muslims. It created that statement between the people and between the Muslims, Hindus, and the Congress party people. Okay, and the last point is main here. If you understand that, it is very clear. Okay, so this is the end of the part 1, and stay tuned to part 2. Thank you for watching, and like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.